Move on to our next piece of news here. That is this AI art going around here. Studio Ghibli. There's Studio Ghibli. So it's kind of this recent trend that's been happening with people going into AI. They're saying, "Hey, I have this picture, upload their picture, and it says turn me into a Studio Ghibli looking character there. Can you
Yeah.
Ghiblify me?" There with that. People aren't saying that. I just came up with that, coined that, my term there. And
I
doing
did hear one person refer to it as a giblification.
Giblification. Okay, they got that going on. So this is kind of what it looks like here. And people knows the art there of Studio Ghibli, Hayao Miyazaki there for such films, Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, Howl's Moving Castle. There, very iconic, very distinct, animation type style there. And it's kind of sparking this debate about AI art, its place there. Is this can like Hayao Miyazaki, Studio Ghibli actually sue people who are doing this and AI that's using this art? Are you, actually creating something new if you do this? And yeah, I mean, and discussions about AI and all this have been talked about much before there, people using it. And it's kind of placing things, AI art versus traditional artists, people who are on the side of traditional art. It's like, okay, AI is going to take away jobs from people who do that art there in attempts to, just like, hey, this is cheap. We can just hire this and have this thing. We see it kind of happen. Movie studios are already doing it with posters. I think Fantastic Four just got
Right.
accused of that, of using an AI poster,
Yeah, they
and
they
they,
said they didn't, but I mean, you look at the background and the faces and the hands, and it's like you guys are saying that you didn't, but it really looks like you did.
yeah. Let me see if I can show it to you. People give an idea.
The
So it
one
looks like,
that's like the crowd, I think, right, where they're holding like the Fantastic Four flags. It's like not the actual characters, but
yeah. So as people mention, like, wait, the fingers are always a dead giveaway. Like, there's not five fingers on the hand there. People pointed that out. So yeah, so it's like, oh yeah, this looks kind of AI there to a degree. But like you said they didn't use AI. That's what they say.
right.
Um,
They said it.
they said that
I don't
with
know.
that
I
there.
don't know. But
Um,
if they did, would they tell us? Probably not.
Probably not unless they get caught with that there. So this is ChatGPT's DAU there, and it says generative AI service developed by OpenAI rose to a new high last month. They're driven by the popularity of its image filter that transforms personal photos into famous Japanese animation style illustrations. Industry data showed Tuesday. It says ChatGPT's DAU there reached a record 1.25 million as of last Thursday, up from 1.03 million on March 10 and 790,000 on March 1st, according to new data there from industry tracker IGA Works there. There you have that there. It says the rapid growth came with OpenAI's new image generation tool, which allows users to convert their photos into illustrations inspired by Studio Ghibli films. And then it mentions, yeah, founded by Hayao Miyazaki. Studio Ghibli is a Japanese animation studio behind famous films such as My Neighbor Totoro, Spirited Away, and Howl's Moving Castle. There, the new image tool gained global attention after OpenAI CEO Sam Altman changed his profile picture on X, formerly Twitter, there to a Ghibli-style version of himself, sparking a wave of user interest. However, the surge of AI generated animated images has raised copyright concerns and technological issues. Altman said OpenAI plans to introduce rate limits on the feature, saying our graphic processing units are melting. So many people are using this thing; it's melting the processing units of it there for this. And this is Sam Altman. Let me see if I can bring up his tweet here. So this is this guy. So this is what he did it with here. So people want to go see him there. This is his thing there. This is his Twitter there. Um, yeah. What's your kind of opinion on this?
Well, I think there's nuance to be had in the conversation. But my immediate reaction is like, Snapchat filters have existed for like 10 years already. How is this even new?
Mm, yeah. I guess with the snap, because I was gonna bring, yeah, like, what's the difference between using this and somebody says, well, people do it like, I did it with like a JoJo Bizarre filter with that.
Right, right,
Like that was on like CapCut or something like that. Like, kind of what's the difference with that one? And I think with that, it's like you're just kind of doing your face there. It's nothing really too
right.
expansive there. It's like a quick like filter that you do there, like you said with Snapchat or
Absolutely.
things like that. Like it's not you're not. I don't think you're melting processing units by just doing that on
No,
like
no.
a filter on a CapCut there with that in it. And you know, with that kind of style. Now, the people who do make JoJo Bizarre Adventure, now they could have a claim there. I don't know if they have like a deal with CapCut in particular. Like you can use a filter for that. I don't know if you know that or not. If they do have a deal with them.
I don't. I don't. I'm not sure how that works.
Okay, yeah. Do you think that you know they should be getting paid for this? That there should be a cut of this, that their revenue that they get if you're going to use the filter there?
I think, yeah, I think if, I mean, it's the trouble with trying to have something that you can ask anything for, right? I mean, you take a service like, say, Spotify for music. Oh, you can go listen to almost anyone's music on it, and then there's like some royalties paid out, right?
Mm,
So for something like this, if you can ask for, you know, an image in anyone's style, as long as the AI is able to understand who you're talking about, I do think you should probably have some royalties being paid to the artists who actually created these styles. Now, I'm sure a lot of those artists would say, I don't even want to be paid. Just don't let them do it in the first place.
mm. Yeah. Um, that's yeah. I know that obviously someone like Hayao Miyazaki would want that. I mean, after this all came out, his comments about AI kind of surfaced about it in the sense like this is
What's funny is that that video that you're talking about is from before generative AI existed, really. He was referencing an AI program that was like a video game model program. So he's even referencing like a much older kind of concept of what AI is that anybody that plays video games is just going to kind of know exists as part of that system and is programmed, right, like by people. So he feels that way about that. So imagine how even more he dislikes this.
yeah. So this is the comment.
He feels that way about like Pixar animation.
Mhm.
So like it's just escalating scale of him hating things more and more deeply.
So this is where the that kind of comment comes from. So this was in 2016 in a documentary aired by a Japan Broadcasting Corporation called NHK Special Hayao Miyazaki, the one who never ends. Miyazaki was shown an AI generated character. The character was a scary monster that used its head as a leg. They said it couldn't feel pain. The person presenting it said its movements could be used in making a zombie video game. Miyazaki responded by saying that AI generated artwork was an insult to life itself, and that he never included it in his Studio Ghibli work or otherwise. Um, and then he also kind of went on to say um, there's the people who've created, presented the people who created and presented the technology to Miyazaki said their end goal was to create an AI machine that could draw like humans. This was back in 2016, only 9 years ago. Technically, the world has has made progress on that claim. However, in order for a machine to function anything exactly like humans, a certain level of imperfection needs to occur. Unintentional error shows humanity. The machine would also require strong personal history that informs how it perceives things. These two things usually convey the stronger level of emotion from art. Miyazaki went on to say that I feel like we are nearing the end of times. Humans are losing faith in ourselves. This powerful testament still holds relevance almost a decade after Miyazaki said it. So yeah, get that.
I don't. I mean, the thing is I don't disagree with them.
And
Uh,
this, oh,
I
go ahead.
think honest. I was just gonna say I think you know we'll see how the evolution of AI goes in the long term. But that combined with robotics and some of these programs that don't like actively make anything but just communicate. Uh, for all we know, we're basically just teaching the next dominant life form how to do things. That might really be what's going on here.
I mean, because the article makes a point of saying like the AI, it's not like it is just a thing that just exists like it has to pull from something. So
It does, yeah.
it has to pull from art that already exists already. So if you type it in and give it a prompt and says, I want art that looks like H.R. Giger, it has to
Yeah,
pull from H.R. Giger's art and his creations of what he did to come up
exactly.
with H.R. Giger art there. So it's not just existing in an ether there of coming up with something. It's going to draw from something. So it's
That
all.
is, I think, what would be the challenge of creating one of these AI. If you were to create an AI program like this that people didn't have a problem with, it would you would have to figure out exactly a solution to what you're talking about. You'd have to find a way to design it in such a way that the AI could have its own original thoughts.
Mm,
And I don't know if that's possible or not. And if it is, it might be called Skynet. So
yeah.
maybe we shouldn't do
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, because if you try to, like, let it loose there, I mean, if you're trying to feed it so much, so it is just basically a human and give it human imperfections, human ideas, human inspiration. Can you I mean, again, this is like you said, like Skynet,
it.
can
Yeah.
you give robots feelings and emotions of genuine creativity? Can you actually just create, like, I guess, a soul for the AI to have genuine creativity there of it? And I mean, again, that was from a documentary from 9 years ago. And like this has also been a thing. Like I haven't heard them talk about this until recently, but have you heard about this? This has been a thing for a long time since I think YouTube has been a major thing. But the AI fake movie trailers, um,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
that's been
Well,
a
and
thing.
it used to be people would just like do color filters and Photoshop stuff at one point in time, and it would it'd look even faker than it does now. But I've seen some of these, and they're off-putting. They're
It,
very, very off-putting.
So if you go on YouTube and sometimes you'll type in something like, like if you type in Avengers Doomsday, there'll be maybe a fake AI trailer of Avengers Doomsday, but the views it'd be like 800,000 views or 500,000 views of people watching this. And I always wondered, I'm like, do people really get that tricked by this? Like, there's been no news. I mean, I guess if you don't follow the stuff like you do or I do, it's like I guess it's easy to
Yeah.
be like that, and people share it on Facebook and everything. So
Yeah. I also think it is hard to overestimate how easy it can be for older people to be tricked by technology that is just so kind of outside of their scope of what they're aware of. Not that I mean, I've seen videos of people going like my parents just showed me this AI video of like an octopus that doesn't exist, and they were like, "Look at this creature that was just discovered or whatever." And it's like I have to tell them like, "No, Dad, that's not real. This is the real thing." So there's a lot of people that totally just see these things and they don't really question it. It's and I don't think it's not a sign of intelligence at all. I think it's just a sign of just how involved in the conversation you are or how much you're paying attention on a daily basis to the technology as it's progressing. Because if you had never heard of any of this stuff until a week ago and you saw a video, you might fall for it, no matter what age you are. But
yeah,
I think it's just is the case that you see a lot of older people. They're not going out of their way to pay attention to the stuff in the first place. So it comes across their their desk, and they're just like, oh, hey, that must be happening. I mean, I remember probably 2, 3 years ago, it wasn't even AI. It was somebody splicing footage from different movies together and then putting color filters over it. My dad sent me a completely fake trailer for a Beetlejuice 2 way before they'd announced a Beetlejuice 2. And I'm like, I had to be like, that's not a real trailer. So
yeah.
this absolutely happens.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing like a fake trailer for movies like that, like Beetlejuice 2 or something like that. Like, yeah, tons of that. And then there was a recent announcement here, that so it says here YouTube is now demonetizing fake AI movie trailer channels here. So you see like a lot of what they do is like Tom Welling, who's
Timothy Chalamet as Frodo.
Timothy Chalamet as Frodo, and Tom
Oh
Holland
God.
there. There you got, and you got black suit, the Venom suit there on Tom Holland, and you got like an Avengers, in game or Doomsday there with that fake trailer for that one. So you got like that kind of going on, but yeah, and this came after a recent announcement also where they said that YouTube, well, the movie studio said that they would be the ones monetizing off of the fake AI trailers. So I guess
I
now
mean,
they
if it's the property they own, right?
yeah, I mean, so I guess now they can't make any money if YouTube's demonetizing them. If that's the case, I guess
Right.
now they can't get any money from it. If that's the case there. So I guess YouTube was like, oh, since y'all gonna get money, we don't. Nobody's gonna get money. Then after that, then I guess nobody's gonna get it. But yeah, so that's been a thing for a long time. That's been a thing, and there was a recent thing that came out. I mean, something you love very dearly that got put into the Ghibli filter.
Oh
The
God, what?
with this right here.
The world is changed,
Oh
and
no.
some things
You didn't see this?
that should not have
No,
been
I didn't.
forgotten
Oh
were
yeah. So
lost.
somebody put the Ghibli filter
But the
there
ring of
on the Lord
power
of the Rings trailer.
has a will of its own.
Um,
Evil is stirring in Mordor.
how do you think? I mean, I think this looks pretty bad. I mean, honestly, I think this
Yeah,
is
it doesn't. It doesn't look
Saruman needs
good.
only this ring.
like it's
Maybe some
wait.
of these images as like a still image might not look terrible, but just in motion, especially, it just is. It's clearly not right. It's clearly like it doesn't look right.
Yeah, but you had some
Just
people going like, "Man, this looks awesome." I was like, "This looks like shit." I was like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "What the hell?" Like the way the
yeah.
characters are moving.
Okay, can you go back up just to when he's sticking the fire in the Nazgul's face? That looks really bad. That might be the worst looking shot of the whole thing.
Damn, look like
It's
he's
like,
trying to
it's like he's spinning
like he's got a Q-tip in his ear, like he's trying to wax it out, trying to get the wax out.
it.
Like there you go. Wow. Yeah.
Oh, at least it gave us a good laugh.
Yeah.
No, yeah,
Wait,
this
what was that? Hold on, let me go back. I didn't even notice that. Like, why is that person's just
oh
half?
God.
Oh, is it? Or maybe they're transitioning to the next scene. I guess that's why it looks like that. Maybe like it's just
I
half
think
of
they
it.
got cut in half.
Yeah, like got that going on. Yeah, I mean, this looks just pretty, just like just soulless. It doesn't look that good. Um, and there was a Lord of the Rings animated movie that came out. I mean, we weren't big fans of it, but hey, at least it was people doing there. And that
It looked
animation
better than this.
looked better
Oh
than this.
God,
And
did you see the skeleton
oh, let me
falling
see.
there? Ooh, what was even happening?
Was down the well?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, ooh, yeah. Then it turns
Yeesh.
into a CD-ROM video game right there. I don't know what happened. Huh? Yeah. Mm. Yeah. This doesn't. I don't. I mean, I don't get why you would be that impressed by this. Oh, even look at that Legolas. Hold on. Look at Legolas on the mountain here.
I was about to point that
Look.
out. His legs look really weird.
Yeah. Like his leg is going the opposite directions here. Like what the heck? Like that looks really bad. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And this is the first time I've seen it all the way through. I just saw the kind of the still images and a little bit of it. So yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
this is
that's
new to
oh
me.
fuck this. This is from director Hayao Miyazaki. Like, man, you don't want this, man. He
Oh
should kill
yeah,
you for
putting
this.
his name in there is gross. Is extra gross.
Yeah. Oh my god, get the hell out of here, man. That's just fucking wrong. That looks bad.
That
Oh,
that
gee,
makes it much worse.
that looks also really bad. Look at that. Like, what the?
Yeah, it's just like there's no.
um, and then yeah, somebody also pointed out with another thing, Studio Ghibli, that scene. I forgot what movie it was from, but they mentioned like that crowd shot that's only like 4 seconds long. That they said
Mm,
it took them over a year to do,
yep.
and then they did it with AI, and they were like, well, it's just like you know, it's like well now it's better because AI did it in like an hour. They took them a year to do this. It's like yeah, but they stole it from somebody else. It's like it's easy to do it
Right.
when I just did it. I created the shit. So,
Exactly.
I fucking did it. You know what movie I'm talking about? Um,
It's the market scene. It might be from Howl's Moving Castle even. It's a market scene, or is this they're going through the crowd and there's just all these people moving at once. I don't.
let me
It might not be Howl, but
but let me see if I can pull it up here. But yeah, it was like somebody was like, "Well, because of the AI, it was able to do this quicker." It's like, yeah, but it drew from something. It's like it's not just came up with
yeah,
that. And it still looked like
yeah.
ass, and even when you copied it.
No, it did.
Yeah,
That's the thing. It's like I my position is that I think that and it maybe it hasn't been discovered yet, or maybe the AI that could be the one to be capable. Again, it also might kill all of us. So I don't know if we want this or not. But I think there's a possibility that you might be able to have an AI that is capable of originality at some point, or if someone has an original idea that's not based on something, maybe you could use AI to kind of assist yourself into kind of creating it. I don't know. But what I can say for sure is what is this and what is existing right now is not it.
Mm. Do
Like this
you
isn't it.
use AI?
I've messed with it a little bit. Like I've got my so like what I have done is I have some of my own stories that I'm a writer. I can't draw for shit. I'm not going to pretend to. I've tried to maybe learn a little bit. I've had a hard time with it. I've made some like concept art images out of characters that I would say are my own original characters, but I'm not going to advertise them or go out and be like, "Hey, look at this thing I made," and be like, "No, this is for like my own private viewing." And if I used them for anything, it would be, "Hey, I'm going to look for a real artist to partner with since I can't draw." And maybe I'll go like, "Hey, I did this because I couldn't express what's in my head any other way. Can you do this but for real?" Like that would be, that's like the most I would say.
Yeah. And The Wind Rises, that was the
That
movie.
was the movie. Okay.
That was the movie there. So yeah, it took a year and 3 months to complete. There, I'm not totally against AI. I think AI can be useful there.
The
Um,
other thing is AI can mean a lot of different things too. So like, this whole conversation is about the generative image AI, which, if you really go by the definition of the word of the actual acronym AI, right? It's artificial intelligence, right? And that idea is trying to get across something that can think for itself. So in some ways, the AI that people talk about isn't even really AI because it's not thinking for itself. That idea of AI doesn't really exist yet, but a lot of things can be called AI. Something that is coded by human hands in a video game that makes an enemy NPC walk in a particular pattern and then search an area. That's also AI. And I do think sometimes the conversation is so dominated by like the current zeitgeist of what people are thinking of as AI that they're kind of forgetting that the term applies to like a whole bunch of different things. And so I also do implore people to remember that and remember that every time somebody brings up AI, this isn't always going to be what they're talking about.
mm. Do you think people are artists if they only use AI to create something?
No.
Okay.
If I think like I said, like just like you, I don't completely hate it in all instances. I don't think it is 100% bad all the time. I think that someone who does things by hand and makes their own art, if they want to take their art and kind of link it into maybe an AI and go like, all right, like what can I add to what I've already made? You can maybe get something interesting out of that, right? Because you're actually making something and then you're experimenting with something you made in connection to the AI. But if you just go to it purely with no actual real idea and just go like, make me look like Studio Ghibli, no, you're not an artist if that's all you're doing. You need to make something and then yeah, maybe you dabble with it as an extension of the thing you made. But if you're only using the AI, then I no, I don't think you qualify as an artist.
Yeah. Because you just, I mean, because you have to type in prompts and to draw something from it. If you type in, like I said, yeah, Pixar art, or I want to make something look like
Right.
Pixar, and then it gets into can you actually sue people for that for copyright? And then you talk about it with music and I look, like I said, I'm not against AI. I've used AI there. When I'm writing a paper, I put in the AI so it can fix some of the grammar and do all that stuff with it
You
there.
see, like that's a good ethical use, right? Because you already wrote something, and then you're like, you put it in there and you go, can you just point out if my grammar's wrong anywhere? And it's like, yeah, here, this spot, this spot, this spot. There you go. But you still wrote it.
Yeah.
Like I think that's a good example of like you can use it. It's not always evil, but a lot of people are not using it in ethical ways either.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of the problem there with it. And I don't think even the people that are against kind of like the whole Studio Ghibli AI, I don't think they want to say like ban AI totally. I don't think
Right.
even people are that. They're just like, well, obviously there needs to be some regulations with this, and obviously what you can
Yes.
do with it. And then a point of like there are people who do copy like humans who do copy each other because there are people
Sure.
who do copy like what Disney did, like their early animation,
Yeah.
and they're like, oh yeah, we want to do that, or there's styles of animation that do get kind of repeated. Do you think that's the same thing as AI? You think that's a little bit different, or
I think it's different, but I can also see why that gets brought up. You know, so this kind of goes back to the idea we were talking about earlier of could eventually might one of these programs be capable of originality, right? And like completely original creativity. And in that case, if they eventually can learn to be, even if they are, they might still it might still have to learn somehow from something, you know. That's certainly the case for human created art, right? As you learn from art that you love and you kind of figure out how to do it. A lot of people learn how to draw by tracing images, right?
Hmm,
Redrawing things. But I but I think where it's different is the reason that people do that is so that they can learn how, and then they start doing their own thing. You
mm,
know, like it's all in an effort to be able to create something that is unique. So even if you start by kind of doing this copycat work, there's an end goal there of trying to be able to do something that isn't that. Whereas if the AI, again, if it can never express originality, which I think we don't know. I think that's a completely open question that nobody fully has an answer to. But if it can't do that, if it can never get there, then what's the end goal? Because the end goal is just continuing to be a copycat. And that's where I think it would be different.
so if the AI kind of traces, so to speak, the art,
Hmm.
and then it all of a sudden goes off in its own thing, then that would be good, is what you're saying.
I think that would be a different, yeah, I think that would be harder to be upset about because then it's having an original thought or an original concept. Now that original thought might be exterminate all human life, and I think that's a completely scary separate conversation. But it would be an original thought.
Yeah. Yeah, because yeah, I mean, humans do that. I mean, with animation, they tell you like when you're writing a script, like copy somebody else's, like actually, like line by line, just so you can have the feeling of actually finishing a script. So you can have like,
Right.
oh, I finished something, so now I can go write my own script, and
Yeah.
things like that, or even like with a book, or even they'll tell you to actually just do that to copies the book, and then so you can feel that feeling of actually finishing it, so you can feel like you
Yeah.
go and do your own thing, and then AI and people compare it to like recently there was something at the Grammys where a John Lennon song they used
Mm.
AI to restore his voice because it was like an old recording that was all
Mm.
distorted. So they used AI to kind of, regenerate it in a way. It wasn't like making a whole new John Lennon
Yeah.
song. It was just like you're using the AI to like help you do that. And then the AI, there was also the thing with Adrian Brody with the Brutalist, like he used AI for his Hungarian accent to enhance
Right.
that,
Right.
which I don't know if I was totally okay with doing that there. I feel like you're
That
using
one's yeah. That one's a little iffier, a little more on the edge. There was one use actually that I would love to point out that I actually think was really cool, and genuinely ethical. Did you see? It was a Billy. It was Billy Joel. Like it was his own song. He did the song. He performed the song. Uh, but the music video used AI, like an AI filter, to basically make himself look younger during certain parts of the music video. Not too kind of similar to like Marvel's like de-aging CGI. Sort of similar thing. The song is his song. That's not like generated in any way, but there is a visual element to, and I mean, you still have him sitting there, right? It's still filmed, and then you take what's there and you're kind of altering it a little bit. I think the song was called "Turn the Lights Back On" or something like that, and I thought it was like that's a good use of AI, where it's like
Hmm.
again, there's a real creation, and then you have an idea on how to add on to it, and I think again, I think there's ethical uses, and I think that's a good example of one. Um, but a lot of people are, not doing it that way, and I think it's easy access for a lot of uncreative, lazy people to, you know, and like yeah, it's like his different every time the camera comes back, it's like a different age of him. Um,
Mm,
but
okay.
it's still his own original new song, right? It's not the song isn't generated. It's just an enhancement to something that he already made.
Mm, yeah. Yes, I think there is a purpose for it when in time there, when it kind of goes
It's just
on.
that you need someone that's already creative and is interested in making things to then use the AI in an ethical way because they aren't going to want to have it do all the work for them.
Mm,
But this is creating this doorway for people who don't want to do any work and don't have any ideas to bandwagon onto something that allows them to do these completely redundant things. So it's I guess ultimately what I'd say is like it could be really good and maybe even impressive and interesting in the hands of someone who's not going to resort to it.
mm. Yeah, that's what I think. You get a lot of lazy, uncreative people coming in, going like, "I'm a real artist," because I typed something into a computer and it came out, and
Exactly.
you know. So yeah, that was a discussion. AI art there.